Hi, I'm Sophia May Hyatt. I'm from Plainfield, Illinois. I'm also currently seeking ordination within the United Methodist Church as a deacon, focusing on LGBTQ+ inclusion.
My name is Diana Marie Palila Berger. I am a laboratory animal veterinarian. I currently attend and am a member at Glenview United Methodist Church, and my goal in life has been able to help other people come to find their own faith community in whatever way they can find it, to feel welcome, to be their authentic self.
You've always been a Methodist your whole life then?
Well, it's hard to say. I think I am a Methodist by experience, and certainly within my family, the Methodist Church has been the dominant church for a number of generations now.
We didn't really attend a singular church very regularly when I was growing up because we struggled to find one that we felt was welcoming and inclusive for a while.
It's really kind of funny that there are some parallels in my own family, because my dad was really more of a secular humorist. Well, there's humor for you. He was a secular humanist, really into the philosophy and sort of living out the psychology of being a good person. Whereas my mother was someone who had actually spent a lot of time in church. My life ended up being somewhere in the middle. So have you given any thought to what it is that keeps you with Methodism?
Yeah, so because I wasn't born a Methodist, I feel like I had to actively choose it rather than just being the tradition that's been passed down to me. And it was this idea that we are a group of people who are open to change and communication and looking at one another, and open to progress that comes about when you truly listen to the needs of other people. As someone who identifies as queer, that's a interesting intersection for me, because in many ways I feel like I've always been invited in, and in other ways I feel like, oh, I'm not sure how other people will react to me being in this space. But I have a lot of hope for living up to our principles and the promises that we have made, sort of living in line with Christ. I think those ideals are still accessible to us. What about you? What keeps you in Methodism?
Stubbornness. I feel that I don't want to be chased out. And I know I'm getting into really negative territory, but I think it's important to do that, because if you don't end up building the community you need to stay strong.
I love that. Yeah, I relate to so much of what you said, particularly your stubbornness. That is something I have been. And as someone who more specifically identifies as bisexual, I'm a cisgender woman, and I'm in a partnership with a man, many people are gonna look at me and just give me that check mark. So much of why I stay, much of my stubbornness is like a sort of call, not like I'm asking to be kicked out or anything, but sort of to say, hey, you can see past this part of me that I don't want you to see past. So I definitely feel like part of my call to ministry is pointing beyond me at the people that, while I have privilege in my straight passingness, whatever that may mean, there's so many people who have been disregarded because of that. And so I relate to your stubbornness in that way of saying like, hey, there's so much more than what meets the eye here.
I want to walk the way Jesus would have walked. And I don't. I do all kinds of bad things. I've broken most of the commandments. No, I'm a Jesusian. And it's a mouthful to say that, but that's who I am.
So you call yourself a Jesusian. As a Jesusian, thinking about Christ's life, how do you think Christ would want our faith communities to look today?
Remembering what it's like to be looking for community and not know if you will be welcome. And that's in spite of communities saying, you know, having a banner that says everyone welcome and that sort of thing. Well, do you mean me? And do you really mean me? Welcoming the LGBTQ continuum is one thing, but there's other ways of welcoming, whether it's ethnic or national origin, whether it's race, whether it's profession, whether it's neighborhood.
I love this idea of where we point our intention really matters. So I love what you're saying. That's so much about like, no, we're not gonna just be focusing on some God in the sky and that gets us our good check mark and then we go about our day and what we do doesn't matter. What real worship is making your life a living testament to these ideals. As you know, I'm in college, so I'm living in a town that I didn't grow up in, and I emailed literally every single church within walking distance and said, hey, saw your website, it said welcoming. Does this actually mean me? And I got a variety of responses, some of which were unsurprisingly disappointing.
What do you want? What do you want from me?
What do I want from you as an individual?
What do you want? You know, if you were coming to my church, if you walked by my church, what do you want?
I want a place where I feel like there's honesty and authenticity. I feel like too many times, like Sunday morning is the time where we armor up. It's more of a role that we play. And those are the times that I feel the most disconnected. And so what I would love to see in a church community is I want to see people turned towards the right thing, not turned away from each other at some vague concept all of us are just pretending to understand, but towards each other's real human needs, this sort of sense of it can happen now. We should have hope for those larger changes as well because I think they're necessary, but it starts now with individuals really giving people their full attention and compassion and really looking at one another as individuals.